Hello everyone and welcome to another Everton Show. As always, we've got plenty to bring you on this week's programme. Look out for our new signing doing his bit for Everton in the community and a wonder goal from one of our rising stars, and all in the company of a very special guest. I'm delighted to welcome, making his Everton Show debut, the gaffer. Roberto, many thanks indeed for joining us.
Pleasure, thank you.
What a nice week to be in as well, FA Cup week. We still love the magic of the cup.
We do. I think it's quite interesting when you're trying to explain what the FA Cup is when we got new signings of foreign players that they never been involved in this competition. It is a unique trophy. For me, it's the best cup competition in world football. And as we all know, the chapters that we had over the history with Everton, they are quite special. So there is a little bit of a feeling around Finch Farm. Looking forward to this fifth round of the FA Cup. Is
the FA Cup in England far bigger than the Copa del Rey in Spain?
It is, yeah, for many reasons. I think the format helps. There's not such an attention of that giant killing moment, the moment that you can test yourself as a team against the best in the country. Playing only one leg is something that it gives you a good opportunity. In Spain, the good teams always get far.
We do love the FA Cup and always will do. Plenty more to come from Roberto throughout this week's programme. And make sure you don't miss part 3, by the way, because our big interview is, of course, with the man himself. And here's a sample of what else we've got for you on this week's Everton Show.
Goodison, we need it to be a fortress. Teams, certainly when I come here as an opposition player, I didn't enjoy coming here. It's a tough place to come, so we definitely need to spin that around and do something about it.
When you're winning, there's always going to be a bit of momentum for the other team, but we knew ourselves, we fancy ourselves against anyone, so we tried to play, and if there's a bit of pressure, we fancy ourselves to keep the ball at the goal.
I am so happy with every support they make me, because especially when I was injured, I receive a lot of cards, and I remember all the time this when receive maybe 100 cards with the best wishes.
I remember them when we played in France against Lille, so that I will never forget, and we have really good supporters.
It's nice that they can meet up and chat to each other and pick each other's brains and have a chinwag with someone that's potentially been through something they're going through now, and it probably makes their lives a little bit easier.
Roberto, what's the mood like in the camp at the moment down at Finch Farm? Because we're playing well, we're just not getting any luck at the moment.
Well, I think it's difficult to describe it at the moment, because as you say, of course we know we're playing well and the confidence is there, and leading up to the West Brom game, we were in one of the moments of the season. I think the competition for places is stronger than ever since I've been in charge. But it is true, in football it's about winning games, and the disappointment against West Brom, we did everything that we had to do, and creating the biggest amount of chances that you would create in a Premier League game. But no winning, in a way, leaves you a little bit deflated. Sometimes it's easier to accept when you don't play well that you lost a football game, and at least you know where you can improve. This one was very tough to accept, because we knew we would get 3 points from the 5th position, and we had a real good momentum going.
It's not just the crossbar either, it's the underneath of the crossbar, the inside of the post. What can go wrong at the moment is certainly going wrong. Well, as our regular viewers will know, one of my post-match tasks is to encourage the players to fulfil their media obligations. It's not easy, I can tell you, to walk into a dressing room full of very frustrated and disappointed footballers. And after Saturday's setback, I was grateful that, not for the first time, Gareth Barry was prepared to stand up and be counted.
I think in terms of possession, creating chances, that they're high numbers, and on another day, if we score early, I think we can end up scoring 2 or 3. But the longer the game went on, the more confident they became, and the deeper they went. But, they're a tough team to break down, and unfortunately, it didn't go in today.
Is the real downside the fact how strong they are from set pieces, and they managed to score a goal from one?
That's it. That's the disappointing thing today, because we work on them, knowing that that's going to be one of their main threats, and to concede in the first half, it lifts them. You could tell from our centre straight away they're all lifted and thinking they've got a great chance now to keep a clean sheet, and that was their aim. And today the ball just didn't go in for us.
You hit the woodwork twice, other shots blocked. Is there a time during the game when you're on the pitch you think this isn't going to be our day?
No, I think it's important. The players, we didn't have that mentality. We always believed we could score, especially first half. We're thinking we've got another 45 minutes and we're going to continue the momentum. But I think that's another disappointing thing. The second half sort of fizzled out a little bit. The first half we had the more threat, more chances. We looked more likely to score. The second half we probably weren't quite at it again.
I think it's a 6th home defeat this season. How important is it you turn this form around here at Goodison and use the place to your advantage?
Certainly something that needs looking at, because Goodison, we need it to be a fortress. Teams, certainly when I come here as an opposition player, I didn't enjoy coming here. It's a tough place to come, so we definitely need to spin that around and do something about it.
Roberto, Gareth Barry, since he came to the football club, has been outstanding, hasn't he?
He has, and I think he's an example in many aspects of what he is as a footballer. We're not gonna appreciate Gareth until he's not there. You're looking at someone that he could play nearly enough 600 Premier League games. That's a figure that not many people can reach. But it's the way that he goes about being a professional footballer. Everything matters. Everything is with high standards. He wants to listen. He wants to make things happen for the good of the team. As brave as you're going to see a footballer, always wanting the ball, always giving an opportunity to someone around him, and he's the perfect player. If you want to give opportunities as a young player, you need to have a Gareth Barry in the team.
He must be ideal for the defensive players, because every time they look up, Gareth Barry is there in space. He just knows where to be and when to be there.
But I think it's just appreciating what the team needs. As you mentioned, obviously we ask him, he's got a big role with us in trying to bring that ball from the back line a little bit higher up the pitch, but clearly someone that enjoys being high up the pitch as well. And it's just the understanding that he has about the game is what makes him so influential in everything that he does. When you're looking at a player, you're looking at the respect that the other teammates have for him, and probably Gareth Barry is a one-off in the Premier League history, but in our eyes is someone that he can influence and leave a legacy with all the good youngsters that are coming through in the academy. Probably Gareth is the perfect example to follow.
He's perfect for us media guys as well, I can tell you. Well, if the first team haven't had their share of good luck this season, I think it's fair to say that as an individual, Bryan Oviedo has fallen out big time with the master of good fortune. The Costa Rican is a hugely member of the squad down at Finch Farm, and after a succession of niggling injuries in the aftermath, of course, of his very serious break at Stevenage a couple of seasons ago, Bryan put pen to paper on a new contract last week, and he's been getting some game time as well. So, as he told us when he was meeting fans earlier this week, he's a much happier chap.
Every time when we have these moments, we enjoy too much, because we saw the support and also the kid faces very happy with the signs, with the pictures. For me, it's a special moment, because if I play football and make someone happy, it's the most important for me.
You seem to have a special relationship with Evertonians. You seem to be a bit of a cult hero.
Well, not a hero, but I am so happy with every support they make me, because especially when I was injured, I received a lot of cards, and I remember all the time this when receive maybe 100 cards with the best wishes, and I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate very much this.
You've been in the side lately. You must be desperate to keep your place.
Yeah, well, the moment I am playing, I hope so continue like that and help the team to win the next games. I think next Saturday is very important. We need to focus on that, and every player play this game. We need to do the maximum, because it's the most important for us and for all of us as well.
There's plenty of competition at left back, which must keep you on your toes.
Well, we are in the top league in the world. We know if we are in one of these teams, we have a very good competition. We have I think the 3 or the 4 best left backs in the Premier League, and every one of us need to working hard in the trainings and also in the games for help the team. It's the most important. Every one of us play. We need to make everything we can do for help the team.
Roberto, Bryan Oviedo must be a diamond to have around the place.
Well, he is. I think, as you mentioned, he had a really bad injury, and I think he's had enough reasons in the last 2.5 years to have an excuse, and that's not the way he is. That's probably I appreciate Bryan more than any other player in terms of always wants to achieve something, always wants to have a smile on his face. He wants to help the team. He's got an incredible unselfishness about his approach to the game, and I think we've seen it now. This week is 26. He's signed a new contract, a well-deserved contract, and is bringing a real good level. There's nothing stronger in a football team or in a squad that football can make decisions and it can have really good competition for places. I think Brian mentioned there to have Leighton Baines and Brendan Galloway and Brian for that left back spot. We're very strong in that position in a specialised area. Left back is a position that you need to be very good at it. And overall, I think it typifies what a team player he is, and I just expect that the best years of his career are ahead of him, and clearly they're going to be with us.
Technically, he's a good footballer, isn't he? A very good footballer.
It's really good that, obviously, physically, he's got an incredible natural ability. He can cover the distance. What probably is the biggest strength that he has, he can drive with the ball with an incredible speed and control. I think fullbacks, there are players that they arrive from deeper areas, and to be able to control the ball in the way that he does into the final third is really powerful. Brian is developing all the time. I think defensively now is improved immensely in the last 12 months, and I think is a player that they can adapt to anything that the team needs.
And we'll always remember him for his goal at Old Trafford as well, won't we? And that's just about it for part one of this week's programme. After the break, we'll bring you the pick of the action from the under-21's latest win, and we'll follow Oumar Niasse as he mixes with an Everton in the Community Down syndrome team. So don't go away. Welcome back to part two of this week's programme. Our focus now is shifting to the under-21s. The boys met Southampton at Finch Farm on Monday night, and on a bitterly cold evening, they played some lovely stuff to record a 3-1 victory and extend their unbeaten run to 10 games, a terrific achievement. Here's the best of the action and the reaction afterwards of a very proud coach, David Unsworth.
Everton made it 4 wins on the bounce in the under-21s Premier League with a fine 3-1 victory over Southampton at Finch Farm on Monday evening. The young Blues had gone close on several occasions before Brendan Galloway scored the breakthrough goal on 35 minutes, converting well at the far post to put his side into a deserved lead. Just before half-time, Everton's advantage was doubled, thanks to forward Sam Byrne, who smashed home from a tight angle. The highlight of the night arrived on the hour mark when Kieran Dowell, in front of watching manager Roberto Martinez, scored a long-range stunner to make it 3-0. The forward, who made his first team debut against FC Krasnodar last season, collected the ball in his own half, dribbled forward and produced an exquisite 40-yard chip over backtracking keeper Paolo Gazzaniga. Armani Little pulled one back moments later for Southampton, but it proved nothing more than a consolation. It was another pleasing night's work for coach David Unsworth, who was left thrilled with his team's performance and Dowell's wonder goal.
I thought we were terrific from start to finish. We got 2 goals up. Should have been out of sight really in the first half. Could have been and should have been really 4 or 5. They've come back at us in the second half. Got a goal, but we've created numerous opportunities to maybe have scored a bagful tonight. And to be fair, I was just delighted I was on the side of the pitch to witness Kieran's goal, because it's one of the best goals I've ever seen. It was absolutely outstanding, and he gave a great performance tonight in a bit of a different role than he's been playing recently as a number 10, just playing off the striker, and he showed some great touches, but that goal alone was worth coming to watch it for.
Roberto, we'll talk about that wonder goal shortly, but the overall performance, you were there at Finch Farm on Monday night, was terrific.
It was, yeah, and I don't think it's a surprise. I think David Unsworth has created a really, really competitive environment, and remember that's probably the most significant part of the development of a player once you move from the under-18s and you go into the professional game. And it's not a coincidence that we see these sort of performances. I've been so impressed in the manner that these players are developing constantly. It's not just the talent that it comes through the academy, because it is true that we've got one of the best academies in the country, and we need to even become better. We want to become one of the best in Europe. But I think we're starting to create a real good high standards where any family that they know they're bringing a young player or a young man or a young person into Finch Farm and into Everton, they're going to develop immensely in every single aspect, and they're going to become as good as they want to be in football terms, and that's a very powerful aspect to have. And to have someone like Kieran Dowell, I think probably it shows you what a talent he has, and what a good work we're doing at the academy.
What I was impressed with, Roberto, was the intensity of the performance, because it can't be easy for the boys playing behind closed doors at Finch Farm, can it?
It's not, no. And remember that this group are facing different challenges. They played against Brighton the week before in a really testing pitch at Southport. Then they face opposition like Southampton, that they're very much well organised, a technical team with outstanding footballers. I think Gazzaniga, the goalkeeper, played in the Premier League. You had Harrison Reed and Gallagher up front, 3 footballers that they played already in the Premier League. But it's a very different game. But I think the standards that this group have will allow them individually to have a very good opportunity to become professionals.
It was a great win on a bitterly cold night, as I say. Well, during that first half at Finch Farm on Monday, Saints goalkeeper Paolo Gazzaniga made a string of fabulous saves that certainly prevented Everton from being completely out of sight by the break. However, even he was powerless to keep out Kieran Dowell's second half effort. Let's enjoy that superb goal once again, then we'll hear from the boy himself.
Well, the keeper's, he had a few worldy saves before it, so needed something else, like something you wouldn't expect to go in, so it was off the cuff really, but seen him off his line, just hit it.
He wasn't that far off his line. You had to get it absolutely spot on to get it over him and into the net, didn't you?
Yeah, but there was not really a pass on. I didn't think, well, I didn't see one, so I just thought, why not? Tried it. Luckily it went in.
And it effectively killed Southampton off, didn't it? 3-0.
Yeah, at 2-0, it's always the next goal is important, so it was important for the team to get the third goal.
You mentioned Gazzaniga there, the Southampton goalkeeper. First half he was out of this world, wasn't he, at times?
Yeah, there was 4 or 5 of them, which you thought was nailed on goals, and he's somehow kept it out, so yeah, he had a great game.
Southampton have got a good side at this level. They were always going to come into it more in the second half, but we kept our shape and defended well.
Yeah, of course, when you're winning, there's always going to be a bit of momentum for the other team. But we knew ourselves, we fancy ourselves against anyone, so we tried to play. And if there's a bit of pressure, we fancy ourselves to keep the ball at the goal.
Some of the link-up play with yourself and Tom Davis and Joe Williams was excellent tonight.
Yeah, I was happy to play inside with them, like number 10. I've been playing on the right, but it's good to come inside, and it's a good little free, what we've got going on.
What's the feeling like in the dressing room at the moment, Kieran? The confidence must be sky high.
Yeah, everyone's buzzing. We're doing really well in the league. I think we've lost in about 8 games now, so we feel a bit fearless, like we can beat anyone who comes to us.
Kieran Dowell there, Roberto, said there was no pass on. Was he right?
Well, I think he's very modest. He's one of those that if you score, you're right. If not, I'm sure David Dunsworth will point out a couple of options that he had. I think that goal is one of the best goals that you're going to see in live football. I think many young players can see that action and probably think that they can score from that position. There's a big difference between thinking or seeing that opportunity and executing it in the way that he did. It's just
had to be perfect, didn't it?
He had to, and I don't think there are many players. Forget about that age. It's just not many players in the game that they can execute the action the way he did it. But he's a very humble person, a really strong mentally. And it's a shame that he had a bit of an injury early on in the season. He started the campaign with the first team, and we expect a lot from Kieran from now till the end of the season. He's starting to get a good rhythm, a good match fitness, and I think we're going to see a lot more from Kieran.
He did well in Scotland, didn't he, in the summer?
Yes, the games that he participated, obviously against Hearts and against Dundee, he's got a wonderful left foot. I think you don't get players like Kieran in the British game. He's a player that he appreciates the space, that he enjoys being in between lines. The technical ability that he has is probably a natural gift, and that's something that we need to use and we need to allow him to develop, but clearly he's got a role with the first team without a doubt.
They're an exciting group, aren't they?
They are, and I think what Kieran was saying there is very true. There is a strong chemistry between them. They push each other in the right way, and they know that they're very good in what they do. So always that gives you real confidence.
Real talented group. Well, we're going to go behind the scenes now at the Player of the Month lunch, which took place earlier this week. January's recipient of the prestigious award was Muhamed Besic. The Bosnian was just starting to show the Evertonians what he was all about when his injury curse struck again against Swansea. It certainly was a blow for the boy, but at least in January he did sufficiently well to earn that personal accolade.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get the Player of the Month. Yeah, so I mean, I'm happy for that. Yeah.
Happy with that, but not happy to be injured. Where are we up to with the injury?
No, I mean, this season was, from my point of view, a bit disappointed because I had now 3 injuries. So, but I mean, I have to keep working, and that's it. Yeah.
More frustrating because you were just showing the supporters what type of player you are.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I am just 23, so I have a bit more of time to show what I can.
The way the supporters appreciate you, the way they've taken to you, that's important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really important. Like I said before, always I like when I have a good relationship with the fans. Yeah, so I'm.
Have you put a time scale on when you might be able to return, Mo, or are you just taking it day by day?
No, I hope after Bournemouth now the FA Cup, so I hope that I can be in the squad. So yeah.
The fans at the away games are unbelievable, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, because like I said, always when I remember them when we played in France against Lille, so that I will never forget, and we have really good supporters.
How frustrating will it be for you in the summer, Mo, watching the European Championships when you know that you and Bosnia came so close?
Yeah, it will be. I mean, but I'm happy that we lost against Ireland. Some like Jamesy, Gibson, and Coleman. So yeah, that makes me a bit happier, but still I will be really disappointed. It will be really disappointed to watch them.
Roberto, you must hate it when you're watching international football and two players as competitive as Mo Besic and James McCarthy are on opposite sides with so much at stake.
Well, I thought he was a fantastic player, and he represented two very talented footballers. But I think, as Mo is saying, he's such a young player. But they are wholehearted players that when you see the ball divided, you're thinking anything could happen there. But I think the disappointment with Mo has been that it shows you that the Premier League is such a unique league. Even someone with his experience internationally, now his body is adapting to the demands of the Premier League. And to pick up two soft tissue injuries, one on the right leg, one on the left, it shows you that any player has to go through a period of adapting to this unique physicality of the Premier League. But I think it's been great to see Mo at full flow and playing at such a good level, and is someone that is going to have hopefully a big save from now till the end of the season.
Fans love him, don't they?
Well, I think is you're looking at over the history that sort of player. The Evertonians really appreciate that effort, the winning the ball in those challenges that you don't think you got the right to win it. And what I appreciate from Mo is that the bigger the challenge that you give him is the bigger the response. I've seen him at Old Trafford having to man-mark probably Di Maria at that moment, and he looks forward to the challenge. And you're looking at the confrontation or the duel that he had with Yaya Toure not long ago at Goodison, and you can see the enormous potential that Mo has.
You can speak with authority about injured players because you've studied physiotherapy, haven't you?
Yes. I always felt that being a footballer, or a young professional footballer, you got a lot of time, and I did my degree on physiotherapy in Spain. And it's something that I encourage to any young player to do. It helped me to know the body and to try to avoid injuries and to use that knowledge towards helping your body to prepare games.
Very good. And that nicely rounds up part 2 of this week's show. We'll take a short break right now. When we come back, the spotlight will be very much on the life and times of our very special studio guest. Don't miss this week's big interview with, who else? Roberto Martinez. When Roberto Martinez first walked through the Goodison Park gates, he was clearly a man who was determined to immerse himself in the culture and the very fabric of Everton Football Club. He's certainly done that and more besides, but there's a fascinating football story behind the man who all of us down at Finch Farm call the Gaffer. Let's go back to the very beginning, Roberto. When I was a kid in Liverpool, if I wanted to play football, I had to play in the street. I had to find somebody who had a football, and if we wanted goalposts, we had to take our coats off. Was it the same for you in Spain?
Very similar. I think probably the advantage we had is the weather, that we could afford to play for long hours. We could find easily 20 kids to play on the street, and it will be until you have to go back to get dinner, and that will be. I remember that time with incredible competitive memories. Is where you develop your skill, and probably that's one of the reasons that we want to introduce futsal. We've been introducing futsal in our academy. I do think that many of the young players now lose that opportunity to develop the skill, because when you play on the street and under those conditions, where do you develop the technical ability?
Just tell us what the futsaler is.
Futsal is a five-a-side. It's two teams of 4 outfield players with a keeper. Normally you play with a smaller ball. It doesn't really bounce, so it develops the contact with the ball with your foot in different areas. The outside, the inside, the sole. You use the sole a lot, and obviously that's a non-stop. It's just a more intense game of football, very tight, and that develops 1v1 situations, that develops creating just those skills that could allow you to score a goal. And that's very popular in many South American countries, into Spain, and I think we got a lot of good results. Not long ago in Birmingham, there's been a real good competition, and with Everton we finished in the age of under 9s, on the 11s, on the 12. We finished really strongly, and I think that's important for the development of a young player. That development with the football in your feet is essential.
Back to the streets of Spain then. When did you realise that you were good at football, that you were perhaps better than the boys you were playing with?
I think it's when you see that you can be the one scoring the goal or making that action that it really helps to win a football game. But I think as a kid, you all know who's the one that it can win the game for you. But I had the opportunity to play I was in my town until the age of 16, and then I moved to Zaragoza, which was a big opportunity, and developed myself into a professional football club. But it's great memories. It seems an eternity away now, but it is a real important way of the way I understand the game today.
What was the thought process behind the move to Wigan? Because as you say, playing in Spain, you've certainly got the weather, and with all due respect to Wigan, you haven't got that there. It must have been a huge culture shock.
It was, but I think it was a real challenge. I always felt that football for me was a way of living. It was never a job, and not many Spanish players left Spain to go abroad. At that time, it was only one player that he played with Spurs, Naim. We knew him well from our time at Zaragoza. When the opportunity came, it was fascinating. We met the chairman of Wigan Athletic, and from that moment on, it was a personal challenge of being able to adapt to the British game, to bring something different, to learn a new language, to learn a different way of living through football. I couldn't see a better experience at that time.
When did you start thinking about coaching and management?
Well, in a way, when you are, my dad was a coach or a manager of local teams, and he had a shoe shop, and he was a PA teacher in the college. And obviously, you idolize your dad, and all you want to do is be a footballer, and you always keep that in mind. I just looking back, obviously, I was given the job at Swansea at the age of 33 when I was still playing. I never sent a CV, or I never applied for a job. It's something that I was pushed to take. But looking back, I think the moment that I arrived in the British game, I started thinking as a manager. I started thinking about how to fit myself, a really technical player, into the British game. Develop my tactical aspect of the game, and slowly you start thinking, without knowing it, you're thinking about others and people around you, and you're thinking like a manager. But I think it's the way that I was contrasted with an education of 12 years playing the game in a certain way and then going into the other extreme. It was just a way to think about others and thinking about that team, and probably developing a manager's mind.
And it ended up with an FA Cup final win at Wembley, no less.
Well, it was the 4 years we had at Wigan, they were really demanding, as you can imagine. Just, of course, winning a title it starts with a dream, and then you follow the dream, and it's a special moment. But staying in the division or getting 36 points a season, it felt like winning a title every season.
Well, the next chapter in the Roberto Martinez story is, of course, Everton. But before we speak about his Goodison days, here's a reminder of just how much he embraced the football club during those first couple of months in charge.
Un pasito para adelante, María. 1, 2, 3. Un pasito para atrás.
You were smiling there watching that piece of film. Has it gone over quickly?
It has. It has. I think it's just it's an honour and a privilege. I know exactly what it means to be associated with Everton, and that's why it gives me such a drive to build a winning team and win things and take Everton to the Champions League positions. Is a unique football club, and I think I experienced what Alan Ball said, that once Everton touches us, nothing is the same. Is so true. I can testify for that.
How did it all come about, Roberto, the move from Wigan to Goodison Park?
Well, I think it was just meeting the chairman. I think Bill Kenwright. I always believed I'm not a short-term manager. I'm not a manager that I want to get a quick fix, win something, or get some sort of a success and move on. I take pride on having the time to build a football club and build a team. And when I met the chairman, you don't get too many owners or too many chairmen that they are there for the right reasons. And the chairman is an Evertonian. He's been brought up the Everton way, and I just felt that was the perfect fit. Winning the FA Cup and achieving what we achieved at Wigan was terrific, but to be able to be part of Everton with the history and what it means, it was something that I felt it was the perfect opportunity and the perfect fit. And now, over 100 league games as a manager, I know for a fact that it was an incredible move, and I just feel that we're very, very close of achieving something special, even though it's a difficult process and a difficult period because of the nature of the league, and is the best competition in world football. But Everton has to be a top team that is always challenging for the best things in the game.
I remember that first summer and the first game over in Austria, which was little more than a kickabout. It was your very first game in charge, and still there was loads of Evertonians there, wasn't there?
It was. That was a real baptism of fire, and there was a real wake-up call, because we prepared the game in a way that it was nothing else than a fitness exercise. It was making sure that every player had a bit of a 45 minutes workout and fitting in with no injuries and fitting in with the work that we did in pre-season. When I look over and I saw the amount of Evertonians that we had in the away stand, I thought, whoa, this is a serious game. It is a completely different situation. We went to Accrington as well, and the support is what we are. And I think as Everton, we all understand that. Everything we do is for our fans, and the responsibility is there. But I will never look away of not attracting expectations and attracting pressure to achieve and become a winning team, because that's what is in our DNA.
How big a relief, if relief's the right word, was the first victory, that 1-0 win against Chelsea?
Well, I wouldn't say it was a relief. I think it was a terrific display of being able to compete against anyone. At that time, was a new manager, Jose Mourinho, arriving back to Chelsea, and we knew how difficult and how strong that team was. And you're starting to appreciate the big values that we have as a team. I think at Everton, at Goodison Park, we are a special force, and that's why now we feel so. It's such a hurtful feeling to see the amount of games that we lost at Goodison. Everything else that we put a lot of attention. If we wanted to become a team challenging for the top 4 positions, we had to have a good away record, and we did that. We had to be a team that we can score out of nothing and have a good goal-scoring threat, which is you building teams around that. We took for granted our former Goodison. We always felt that could be something that it would be in our play. Clearly, this season is the only thing is missing. 6 defeats is unacceptable. It's not good enough for our aims. But clearly, that first win showed me how difficult it is to face an Everton team at Goodison Park when we are at full flow.
One thing you often mention is the DNA of Everton Football Club, and it's so important, isn't it, to have ex-players on the site. You've got Duncan, you've got David Unsworth, you've got Sheeds, you've got a few of the lads in the academy who know what it's all about.
It is, and that was very important when I arrived at the football club. Remember that the David Moyes moved to a new team, and it took a big part of the staff. Obviously, I've been working with my coaching team since we started together. That was 7 seasons before, so we worked really well together. But we needed some Everton blood and just to to understand the football club as quickly as we can. Obviously, to have people like David Lonesworth and Duncan Ferguson in the first team and everyone at Finch Farm was vital. But now I think we're working as a one, and we are a really strong family working together.
It is a fantastic football story, and that's it for part 3. A few more adverts for you now, and then when we come back, we'll start to look ahead to the next challenge for Everton Football Club, and that, of course, is the FA Cup. Welcome back to the fourth and final part of this week's Everton Show. Now, Oumar Niasse may still be a newcomer at Everton Football Club, and like every new player, he's probably still finding his feet. But he's clearly a smashing lad, and earlier this week he was more than happy to meet the players and coaches of the Everton in the Community Down Syndrome team at Finch Farm.
Today we've had a couple of our disability groups, so we've got our Down syndrome football team that represent the club, and we also had one of our community groups, which is in the Active Me programme from Mossley Hill. So they've come along today to have a training session and meet one of our players. It's not every day they have the experience of coming to the training venue and seeing what goes on with the first team and meeting a player, which is a great thrill for them, really.
We was playing football with the community, so it was a good game. I really enjoyed with the kids. Yeah, when you see them, you can see the smile. You can see they are already happy. So you can just give them a little bit more happiness. I think it's the only things we can do. Even if they want 1 hour, every player must think about them because they are already happy. Like I said, you can give them just a little bit happiness. Every time you can, you have to do it. So when they said me they are here, I was so happy to come to meet them.
The disability programme is just one of 60-odd different projects that we link in with the local community and ensure that they are engaged with the club. So when they can come to Finch Farm and see their heroes, it'll encourage them to there'll be an extra step in training tomorrow night when they're playing, and they'll feel part of the Everton family.
Since I'm here, I'm every time impressed because you can see it's not only a club to work business about football, it's a family, and so this makes you also to feel people here. They think about a lot of things, not only money, not only football, not only business. They think about more than this. So every time I say to them, every time when they need me, they have just to say to me, I'm going to be here, even if they need for something or they need everything they need about me, they can call me.
Oh, I like it. Roberto, as you know, as well as anybody, there are countless things for Evertonians to be proud of, and chief amongst them, I would think, is the work done by Everton in the Community.
It is, yeah. I don't think there's another football club in the world having that sort of department or an area that is always an eye on the community, an eye on how you can link football and Everton into a good cause around Everton and the people that they love Everton. And clearly, Oumar saw that side and he was quite touched by it, and he wanted to be part, and is someone that has only arrived at Finch Farm, and you can see in moments like that, you're thinking you'll fit in well in our football club.
He seems a really nice lad.
He is, and as you can imagine, he's desperate to be involved, he's desperate to be on the football pitch and try to help the teammates. It's been a big week for him. He's just become a dad for the first time, coming back from Russia. His wife is from the northwest here in England. Is a contagious character, hungry for success. He can't wait to be involved. We need to check. He's got a little bit of a problem in his hand and his wrist, but the quicker we can get him fixed, we'll see him enjoying even with a bigger smile.
How important is it to you to sign the right characters for Everton Football Club and not just talented footballers?
For the short term, it doesn't matter. For the short term, you bring a good player, and I'm sure you'll get something out of it. I think when you're trying to build something for the future, the character and the personality is more important than the talent. You can build things, adding the talent of each individual. I think the strongest aspect is to having a winning team and a team that they know how to help each other, and especially what we are as a football club. You have to fit in or you don't. It's not a medium ground, and that's why the recruitment, one of the biggest parts of the recruitment is to find out about the person in what moment of the career he is and how he could fit in what's needed in the dressing room.
We've certainly got a great group down at Finch Farm, I can tell you. Right, let's start the countdown now to the FA Cup tie at Bournemouth on Saturday at the Vitality Stadium, Dean Court, to the likes of you and me. There's certainly no shortage of men at Finch Farm with FA Cup winners' medals, and one of them is Joel Robles. We spoke to him earlier this week.
No, it's easy game. I remember the last game in the Premier. I know FA Cup is different. I know different mentality, but no easy game away. But for us, it's really important. I think pass for good moment and doesn't matter. Play away at home is important every games.
Have you been impressed with Bournemouth this season? How they've done since they got promoted to the Premier League?
I think it's really good team. At home, of course, is hard team, and for the FA Cup it's different. No, it's more open, the result and anything. But for us, it doesn't matter. Bournemouth or other team is the most important thing is us.
And of course, we're only 2 games away from Wembley. If we win against Bournemouth, we then go into the quarter-finals.
The most important thing is game by game and try every game, first Bournemouth and after concentrate for the next game in the Premier League.
Is there a determination from yourself, the players, the squad here now to go on and do really well in the FA Cup after being so close in the Capital One Cup?
Yes, it is really important. No? The FA Cup for this club is important, and for Bournemouth I think that is really important this game. But the most important thing is concentrate and believe in the FA Cup.
Bournemouth away in the 5th round of the FA Cup on Saturday, Roberto?
Well, it's, first and foremost is the 5th round of the FA Cup. That in itself, it doesn't matter who you're playing against, if it's Premier League opposition or any other division, you have to cope with the occasion, you have to cope with knowing the opportunity that you're going into. And then the opposition, obviously, Bournemouth is a Premier League side. We faced them in their ground already, so we know what type of a team they are. Very energetic, they're built to score goals, they're built to attack, and they've done really well. After getting promoted, is a team that they've been able to adapt to the division, and it's going to be a really difficult game, but in the same way I think we got really strong belief and a confidence. All our football in domestic cups this season has been with a real focus and being able to cope with the opportunity that we're playing into.
Another big game. They're coming thick and fast, aren't they? Well, far be it for me to preempt any team selection for Saturday's game, but if he does take part, then it will be Phil Jagielka's 600th game as a senior professional. That's a terrific figure to reach, and there's plenty more to come, I'm sure. The skipper was in Knowsley earlier this week to launch the Veterans Hub, which is a programme for at-risk former military personnel. And you know what? He had no idea that he was on 599 appearances.
I just didn't know, so it'd be great. Obviously, need to get selected first, but big game for us, obviously, in the Cup, and hopefully we can make sure we get ourselves through and into the hat for the next round.
Plenty of highlights in that time, but would winning the FA Cup be the ultimate highlight for you?
Yeah, definitely. I get often asked what's my highlight of my career, and I'm still hoping that there's a few twists and turns for that. And obviously, if we manage to get through and a bit later on in the competition, getting to an FA Cup final would definitely be one of those.
Going back to when you were younger, if you told an 18-year-old Phil Jagielka he'd be captain of Everton one day, would you believe that?
No, not really. I say it's been an enjoyable but interesting ride. Obviously, coming through the ranks at Sheffield and then getting to play, getting promoted and relegated, then coming to Everton and having to get yourself in a team, and then in the end being asked to be captain of things is a fantastic honour. So I'm delighted with the way things have gone. Hopefully, like I said before, there's a few more twists and turns in this story, and there'll be something special to end it with. We've got loads of fantastic stuff going on around the city, and this is one of them. It's difficult that when you've been doing a job or you've been obviously in the forces and stuff for the amount of years or stuff they've been doing, and then all of a sudden, probably without even knowing, it comes to an abrupt halt. It's what to do next, what next in your chapter of your life, the future, and it's a scary thing. It's nice that they can meet up and chat to each other and pick each other's brains and have a chinwag with someone that's potentially been through something they're going through now, and it probably makes their lives a little bit easier because, like you say, if you've been involved in it since you've left school and you've gone straight into the forces, and then before you know it, 10 years have passed, life does change, the world changes, and to go out there is a little bit scary.
Great scheme that Jags was at there. We're looking ahead to Bournemouth though, Roberto. When did you first realise just how special the Everton away following was?
Well, you keep learning about it. I think last season the way we travelled in Europe was quite unique. But obviously the first time was surprising, not too far away. We went to Ewood Park, Blackburn, in a pre-season friendly. The first pre-season that we arrived, it was a championship club at that time, and when we look in the away fans, we had nearly 3,000 supporting us. Well, it was just an exercise. Obviously, in my eyes, we had one of the biggest games of the season when I was the manager of Wigan Athletic, trying to stay in the division and fighting against Blackburn to avoid relegation. And we took a real good away support with 1,500 of fans. So that, I think it tells you what an away support we have. And we want to reward that. I thought nights like at Middlesbrough this season, going to the Etihad in the semi-final and out singing the home fans, and the support makes a big difference. You prepare the game, you go into the pitch, and you feel supported and surrounded by the Evertonians. It makes a big difference to perform well from the first minute.
Special memories and plenty more to come, I'm sure. And that's us for this week. It's a shame, really, because I'm sure we could have enjoyed the company of Roberto Martinez for a lot longer, but he's got a game to prepare for, and we've got a studio schedule to stick to. Enjoyed Bournemouth, those of you who are going, and let's hope it's very much a case of onward Evertonians once again in the FA Cup. My thanks to the gaffer for joining us, and thanks to you all for watching. We'll be back with another Everton show next week. We'll see you then.